We're live.
What's going on, everybody? Monster Mondays back again. Got Roger from Muskrat Adventures with me. I see we already got a bunch of folks lining up in here. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's see. I was the first comment in here, so booyah.
I don't know what happened. I was the first comment in here. I said, "No, are we ready yet?" At like 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I deleted you, so I'd be first.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. I don't know where it went. I was answering your questions, matter of fact. See, we got Zach in here, Annette. We got Big Mike. What's going on? We got Dale. Bobcat. What's up, Bob? Old Bugman's in here. Let's see. Chucky, what's going on? Creole, I was watching you today, as a matter of fact, while I was doing some stuff around the house. Philip, what's up, Fishing with Old Cause? How you doing? David, what's up, buddy? I see my wife's in here while she's doing her stuff. What's up, babe?
Important to give that shout out right there.
Yeah, she come in here and unplug this computer. What's up, fat boy? How you doing?
Eric, what's going on, buddy? Zach Murray in the house. This fish wasn't possible without Zach Murray. So I'll tell the whole story when we get to that point. But
nice. I say we'll give it just a few more minutes to let a few more people get in here, and then we'll get started. What's up, Jimmy? How you doing?
No problem. No problem. Hello, everybody. We got Pontoon Jody in the house now. Chad with Fields to Water. Hello and welcome. I like this new series, buddy. I really enjoyed last week with Joe being on the show.
I'm glad he was able to do it. It was going to be Brian B first, but that whole crazy storm came up and he had to work and everything. And I just didn't want him having to worry about trying to get rest and come on this right after. So I asked Joe if he would cover, you know what I mean? And he said he would.
We don't sleep. Well, half of us. I do. I sleep. I know I miss a lot of great late night chats, but I get up early. Like yesterday, I got up early and went fishing all day out in the cold and got home, got warm, got my belly full. And I listened to about the first hour of the Mississippi chat on Avid's channel last night. And I definitely want to go back and re-watch that because it looks like there was a lot of good information being given out. And then boom, I was out like a light.
Right.
I miss all this good stuff that goes on late at night. I need to start taking a nap in the afternoon. That way I can make it.
It's going to mess up your sleep cycle.
I don't care. Ask Zach. We changed our sleep cycle to accommodate fishing.
I'll be there one day.
We've done it more than one occasion. Taking a trip and the fish we did it on the James there. Fish were only seemed to be active at night, and we wanted to catch fish. We were struggling, so we switched over and was fishing from like I think we get up and get going like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and fish till about 10 o'clock in the morning, and sleep from 11 to 4, 11 to 3, yeah, and then go do it again every day.
Yeah, that's how you do it right there.
Yeah. It was like, we'll take that dead time that the fish seem to be inactive and whatnot, and we'll use that for sleep, and we're going to be on the water every opportune moment that we can.
I could do it in spurts. I can't do it for a long period, but if I'm going to Florida, going to go fishing on the pier, we have stayed 18 hours straight on the pier without leaving because they won't run you off. Once you leave, you got to pay to get back on, but if you stay forever.
It's kind of like the buffet.
Yeah, we would just ride that thing out, man. But so I guess I'll say a little bit about Monster Monday in case anybody wasn't here for the first one. This is a series that we started way back when Real Beast first, we created it 3 years ago. And it was just on Facebook. We would get people who were part of the group to come in, send a picture, and we'd put a post up and they could put a little snippet about the fish. And we had just way too much on our plate. We were doing Monster Mondays, Tackle Tuesdays, Wish List Wednesdays, Throwback Thursdays. We got burned out within about 5 months. We were just super excited, But then once we started doing lives here again, I thought Monster Monday would be a good one to bring back because, you can actually talk about it. It's not just a snippet. And my family is all about telling their fish stories. We sit around, count up big fish. That's our thing around a bonfire. This is kind of my way of bringing that experience to everybody here. So,
well, that's one of my favorite things to do is talk about big fish stories. And if I don't have one, I just make something up.
Yeah, right. We're fishermen, right? We catch fish and we lie about it.
Luckily, all mine was on video. I didn't have to lie about nothing.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's hard to lie when you got it on video now.
That is true.
If it's 13 pounds, it was 13 pounds.
Yep.
Well, I guess if you want to, we go ahead and get this thing kick started off. Let you go ahead and get into your story about your best fish and what all went through that day and what was going through your mind. So you take it from here.
All right. Well, first of all, Pat, thanks for inviting me on here. I'll be honest with you. You listened off some of the folks you was bringing on the show, and you asked me to be a part of it. I was pretty flattered, to be honest. So, but I'll talk, and we got an opportunity to come on here and talk about this big old fish I caught. Yeah, we could do that.
Nice.
But as I said in the beginning, Zach had found himself in a situation this last year where they were slow at work, and he was able to take some time off. And I think his exact words were, "If you don't need me, call me back in 6 months." And we fished a lot. And on this trip here, we said, "Hey, we're going to go down and fish the Tennessee River and do some fishing." And to be completely honest with you, I'm a fan of kayak catfish, as many people are. And I was watching him pull these big flatheads and blues out of these like 95, 100-foot holes. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. I want to catch fish like that. And we did a little bit of research, and I figured out basically where he was. I figured out exactly where he was. Boat ramp and all. I pinned it down. I knew what was going on, what was happening. So Zach and I took off and went down there and started fishing that big deep water. And be honest with you, it just wasn't happening. And we needed to catch some more bait. And we tried to fish in Chattanooga when we first got there, and we struck out. We couldn't catch any skipjack whatsoever. Didn't realize it at the time. Ran right into Bobcat outdoors, and we just sat there and talked to him on the river a little bit, and he was trying to point us in the right direction and where to go get him and all that. And after we got home, we realized, hey, that was Bobcat, daggone it. I know him.
He snuck in there real quick.
We ended up sneaking down to Nickajack Dam, which we heard the skipjack were, hitting good down there. So we went down there to start catching skipjack. And, we really hadn't intended on being a bumping trip, but we said, you know what, let's try doing some bumping there for a couple evenings. And man, the fishing was on fire. We, it's Ohio, guys. The dam was just letting out the right amount of water. The water was actually coming up or had been up, and they had been pushing some water through the dam. And we caught a bunch of fish that evening, and we decided next morning, hey, instead of fooling around down here, because that's what we've been doing. We've been down there messing around that deep water. Said tomorrow morning, let's just go straight to the dam and start bumping. Pick up where we left off. And I scheduled a live for that morning, and we got going down through there. First pass, we started at the top, and I think we went down through there bumping, and Zach bumped one up. It was 20 pounds. I'm like, all right, here we go. Like 2 seconds later, boom, I bumped one that was 25 pounds. We're like, all right, this is going to be a good day. The live was scheduled for like another 30 minutes, and then boom, hit a good fish. And I didn't know how good it was, but I knew it was a good fish. And I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and go live now. And so when you go back and watch the video, you'll see that starting out, Zach actually has the rod in his hand because I told him, here, just hold him, just hang on to him for a minute. Let me get this camera started. And we kicked the live on, and, he fought hard. And, some of the things that stick out in my mind, there's always these little tidbits that stick out, but I could go back and watch the video and see it in full detail. But when I got him close to the boat, Zach said, "Oh my goodness." He said, "If that's that fish, he's huge, because your line's here and his tail's all the way back here at the back of the boat." He's like, "Oh my," he's like, this is a big one." And I got one glimpse at him, and, going down there, to be honest with you, my PB for up here on the Ohio is 43 pounds. And I've been all over 43 pounds for like a last year or two. And even going down there, I was catching fish. I think I counted up 6 fish over 35 pounds I'd caught in 2 days. And then this guy here, between all the fish was like between 35, 37 and 42 or 43. They was all right there, like the same class fish. But we was catching a bunch of them, and we were just having a blast. And we finally got the fish in the boat. Imagine living here. I couldn't do it, Mike. I could do it. I'll be honest with you, it's on my mind to move down there. I'm in the process of relocating, and it has crossed my mind to just come on down. It's not off the plate just yet. But we got that all on video. We got it in the boat, and then you're commencing the high fives and shaking and all that stuff happens. And, we just was very lucky. I get a lot of questions about, how long did it take you to get that fish in, and how hard did it fight and all that stuff. Well, those of you guys that bump understand pretty easy. But those of you that don't, your boat's moving with the fish. So the ability to fight the fish is so much easier. If I had been on the bank or been anchored into where I couldn't go chase the fish down, that would have been a tough fish to land. Then in the end, it may not have went that way, but I was very fortunate that, we worked, man, I say it a lot in other scenarios, but Zach and I worked really well as a team. It's kind of weird. We kind of sounds cliche, but we finish each other's sentences and finish each other's thoughts and things like that. So when it comes down to, sorry, the dogs, when it come down to, working the fish in, man, it's just easy. Communication is always right there, and it just commits to being a blast. And I'm still tickled to death. I see the picture, and just about anything on Facebook is like, let's see those big fish. I got one.
Yeah, it's a monster looking fish. I mean, it's a huge fish, but I will say it's bigger. It looks bigger than what it actually is. You know what I mean?
Well, that's part of being a good cat fisherman, is you have to be a good photographer.
I'm going to just hold this up for people to see. Y'all have probably seen it before, but it looks even bigger than what it is. And it's already a huge fish.
Yeah.
So I'm working on getting a second monitor so I can share that kind of stuff. That was a little tidbit that Roger was telling me. But for now, I'll show it to you on the phone. But that is a monster looking fish.
Yeah, it ended up weighing out at 78 pounds. We don't get all technical and stuff. It was a big fish. We got him weighed up. I remember now we had some trouble with the scale, got some moisture in it, and it put an extra line all the way through the numbers. So at first, all the numbers looked like they were just all out of whack. And then once we realized what had happened, that, take that line out or just pretend it's not there, and then we finally could see that it was around 80, 81, something around there, bouncing back and forth, and we had it in the net. So minus the net and all, we just called it 78. Could I stretched it out to 79 or 80? Maybe, but it didn't do any, it's my fish. I know what it weighed.
Exactly. So something that you caught me with right there was that you were saying, so you're bumping, you're going with the fish. So really that whole fight was mostly just hanging on. It wasn't really about long drag runs. It was just pretty much just a wallowing on the line, correct?
Yeah, a lot of this fish here did it some. Some of those other bigger fish did it a lot, but for whatever reason, big fish seem to swim upriver. A lot of your smaller fish, they'll take off running down river and use the current to their advantage. It seems like these big fish, they don't care. They don't need the current to their advantage. And I don't know what causes them to go upstream, but I'll tell you, in our experience, a lot of our big fish go upstream. And there was actually a time I think we had to, I can't remember if it was this fish or not. I think there was a time where we actually, it was different fish. We had to turn the trolling motor on and try to slow the boat down because we were still going downriver and the fish were going upriver. And
wow.
So it gets to be exciting, and it's a blast. Bumping is by far my favorite way to catch a fish. Unfortunately, we just don't have waters here that are conducive to bumping all year long. So every chance we get to get on it and get doing it, yeah. And I'll be back. And I'll be honest with you. 2 days after that fish, they shut the water down at the dam. Bite got tough. The bite got tough. But we ran into Catfish Dave, and Catfish Dave knows about this fish. He ran into us, and I think now that I'm thinking back at the story, I think I just straight come out and told him, like, "Hey, I caught a 78." Like a little kid.
I'll throw that up there real quick.
Question: how do you drift fish in current and crosswind with drift sock and trolling motor? Drift fish in current and crosswind. Are we talking about river? Because in a river, that would be the main way to do it there, to get your drift sock out, get some tension on the back of the boat, and get your trolling motor set at a speed that you're still able to go down off on course, and just be able to control your speed. If you have a trolling motor that has iPilot on it and you are able to record a track, recording a track in just about any situation, even being on the river, on a lake, it doesn't matter. If you're going to do some suspend drifting, laying a track down first, and like we've talked before, you don't have to have the trolling motor down and in the water. You just have to have it turned on. So you can go to your remote and hit record and lay a line, drive your boat, the big motor, and drive it straight up the line you want to drift, go to the top, and then turn your trolling motor on. And if that wind starts to blow, it might blow the rear end of the boat around a little bit, but that heading on your trolling motor is going to stay on that line. No matter what, it's going to stay on that line. So that prevents you from getting blown towards the bank or out towards the center of the river or whatever it is that you're trying to drift. Laying down a record line is, in my opinion, the best way to go. Hopefully I answered that. If not, feel free to continue to ask until we get it right, and until you
you can always hit us up on Facebook or email, and how to get your questions answered if we don't get to it tonight. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah. Pontoon Jody said Roger was starstruck by Catfish Dave. Actually, everybody's got their opinion on Catfish Dave, and I could tell you from my experience, we hung out and talked to him for about 45 minutes or so, give or take. And he gave us a lot of information and shared a lot of things with us. He knew we was from out of town and come down there to catch the locals fish. Some people, they're not going to help us. They're not going to give two hoots about helping out of towners because that's their fish. I totally get that. But, we actually told him and said, hey, we're actually wanting to catch a bunch of fish for a fish fry on the last day of our trip. And we're going to take some small blues back to Ohio. Zach had a family event going on that he needed some eaters. And he not only told us where to go, he actually dropped a pin on a map on Watts Bar Lake and sent it to me on Facebook Messenger. And he said, try right here. Do you know how to drift a ledge? I said, yeah, we know how to drift ledges. Go right here and check it out. And it was on fire. We ended up catching, I don't remember the exact number now. It was like 30 some fish. And like a couple hours. It was ridiculous. We was giggling like little kids out there catching fish. It was a blast.
That's awesome.
But you know,
Kevin dropped in here real quick. What's going on, buddy? I see you in there.
Yeah, we got Kevin Palmetto Cats. We got the Canadian Fishing Musician Outdoors Adventures. That's fun to say without messing it up. Tim Donna's in the house fishing with the squirrel. What's going on? I seen a couple folks dropping the link for me, so I appreciate that. This fish, you can see it two different ways. I edited a video and made it, its own video, and we call it a tank. When we got him in the boat, I bet I said the word tank 30 times. I don't know, maybe 78 times. I'm not sure, but I said tank. So the title of the video is Tank, and I got it on there. Or you can see the raw unedited right where how it happened minute by minute on the live stream. It just says bumping below Nickajack Dam, and
I think tank definitely sums up that fish. Seriously, there's not another word that I can think of that wouldn't fit that fish more perfectly. I appreciate y'all putting his link up there for me. Just remember, on Monster Mondays, it's all about my guest. Only share their link for me if y'all could, please. I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong. I'm just asking y'all. That would be a polite thing to do, and I appreciate it. So I was going to ask, so you were bumping. Was this trip like the one that cemented bumping in your mind? Like was it a thing you already enjoyed, or was like this trip the one that kind of set the fire for you?
We had already done some bumping and had already decided that we really enjoyed bumping. But yeah, this trip right here is like, well, I'll be honest, some people say, well, you can't catch big fish bumping. If you want to catch a bunch of little fish, a bunch of eaters and stuff, you can go bumping and catch some small fish, but those big fish, they take some time. You really got to wait them out. And, maybe that's the case in some areas and some fish, but I know on this fish, I put a fresh skipjack in front of his face and he ate it. And, the rig I use and all that's in the video. He said bull.
Bull, yeah. I was going to say, Bob, he knows. Everybody I've ever seen that does bumping, I've never personally done it because I don't have a boat. But like the people that I've seen do it, it's usually trophy-sized fish that they pull up. The folks that I've watched and the people I know, you don't often see little fish from my experience.
Well, here's what my 2 cents is on that. And it goes along with a lot of other guys' views. I know Tim Scott will say it a lot. And, let's face it, we all learn a lot from Tim Scott. And he'll tell you, and a lot of other folks will tell you, a lot of these big fish, they like the crazy, rowdiest stuff that craziest, rowdiest stuff that they could find. And right below the dam, right at the dam is where that crazy, rowdiest stuff is happening. It's just turning. It's crazy. So in my opinion, there's an opportunity there for big fish. Now, you can't throw from the bank and get anything to stay there. Just wash it straight down. You can't anchor on it. You just can't stay. You can't spot lock on it because your battery go dead in no time. About the only effective way to get the fish that size is or to target those fish right at the dam is to bump. There's no other way to target them to catch those fish. Yeah, I seen Zach right here says just a couple of weeks earlier than that, we bumped a 65 pounder up on the Mississippi River, and Zach caught that, and that was a beast. We were fishing down below Memphis off of Mud Island, and current's fast. Now, I don't think we were in the 7-8 mile an hour stuff that you hear a lot of people talk about. We were definitely in that 3 to 5 mile an hour range. Roped off at the dam. You could do that. Honestly, I see guys at the hydro that get in between the gates that aren't letting out water. And I guess in a way you probably could do it from there. Here in Ohio, none of our dams, we can get that close at all. we're restricted. We're way back off the dams. We can't get
Y'all got
close.
the floats on the line across there, don't you? It keeps it like 100 yards from the dam.
No, they don't really put floats or anything out there, but on our charts, there's an invisible line that goes across. You get up in there, they'll let you know. They'll run you right out. I've got a ticket on the Ohio before.
Ooh.
Yeah. We just didn't understand. It's the first time we went to Meldal Dam, and they had the buoys they had one over here close to the lock, and they had one way back here, and that was it. So like 2/3 of the river didn't have anything across it. So we're like, I guess we're just not allowed to be over there close to the, lock where they let the water out and stuff. So we went on up past it. No, you're not allowed up there. I'll tell you now, it was $105 fine. And just so you know, those are points on your license.
Whoa.
Because a boat is a motorized vehicle. So, yeah. But in the 20, 30 minutes we were there, yeah.
They really will. We've been all the way up inside the boil up there fishing.
We've heard of guys, I don't know if we've actually seen it. Well, on Wheeler Dam, those guys will duck down and pull themselves back up in the tunnels, way back in there. Pull their boat clear underneath that thing and sit back there. And I guess they just hope to hell they don't hit the alarm because they're going to open that gate. I don't know. But I got off track there. But anyway, we went down there and was bumping that really fast, crazy stuff below Memphis. And we caught some nice fish. Like, Zach caught that 65, and it was in some fast current. I think the boat was moving 2.25 to 2.5 miles an hour. Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah.
To bump. This whole slow it down to half the speed. Nah, that depends on your current. You got to slow it down. You may have to go, 2-3 miles an hour just to get your bait to hit the bottom, depending on what you're doing. So
what kind of rod and reel setup and what kind of line were you using on that? Because this is a personal question also. I want to get into bumping, and I'm actually going to go with Bob at some point just because I might even do it for my kayak. I'm pretty sure I can do it on that big thing I've got. But I'm not exactly sure what's the ideal thing. I see a lot of guys, which I use braid on some of my stuff, but
here's the problem I see with you doing it out of a kayak. And Bob will tell you this: you use a 3-way rig, and your dropper for your sinker is a lighter line, so that if you do get hung up, it breaks off. Problem is I think it'd be dangerous for you in a kayak because you do get hung up a lot, especially close to the dam. There seems to be really big boulders up there, at least most of the dams I've been able to get close to. So you get hung up quite a bit. I would be afraid in a kayak, you get hung up, flip yourself over pretty quick and easy.
It's almost a boat, this thing.
I'll let you figure it out. But what I'm using for tackle is I'm using a Warrior Cat. I can't remember if it was a Gen 2 or Gen 3 bumping rod. I did a lot of research on bumping rods before I went and purchased this one. Bumping rods aren't cheap. They're all graphite. There's a lot of technology inside of a bumping rod. They're made to be super light. The components that make up the rod, because you're holding the rod in your hand all day, working it. And so you want to try to keep the weight down. The reel I'm using isn't the reel that I would prefer to use, but it's an Abu Garcia Beast. It's a really expensive musky reel that I don't need it something that expensive. But to be completely honest with you, I won the reel in one of these Facebook pages, and actually it was Tackle Bandit, and it's too nice. I can't put it in with the rest of my gear and have it all banged up. It's a $400 reel, and I'm like,
is it the round reel or is it the low profile?
No, it's the round one with the muskie on the side.
Oh, okay. Because I've got the Beast low profile one.
I got you. So the only time I want to get it out is if it stays in my hand because it's expensive. But I use Suffix 832 braid. I use 80-pound braid on there, and then I back it with I run the 80-pound either Cast King or slime line, leader line is what I generally run. I don't remember which one I had exactly, and my preferred rig for bumping is come off the 3-way, come back and 12 to 18 inches, and I'll have a chain swivel to prevent twists, and then I'll run a spook style float, whether it be Uncle Lou's floats or Demon Dragons or something of the sort, just to give it a little bit of something. And I think we were catching like 8 to 10 inch skipjack there, and we just nipped the tail off and send the whole skipjack out. Sometimes I would use a double hook rig on a bigger bait, but a lot of the times we was using, just the head or the spine or whatever.
Heck yeah.
There's a lot of great bumping rods out there. It's just for me, and to be honest with you, Chris Souders is one of my go-to guys, one of the guys I trust the most in the catfish community, and he recommended it, and it was at a trade show or something like that, and I went up there and put my hands on it, and I said, man, that's nice. And they're super light. I think it's 7 ounces for the rod. I mean, it's a light rod. But I am looking forward. Uncle Lou's got a bumping rod coming out. You guys know that I like my Uncle Lou's stuff. I'm running all Uncle Lou's casting rods. And so I can't wait to get my hands on a bumping rod and see how it performs. So I've loved the other rods so far. I've seen a couple questions go by. Both the ones that caught my eye were from Eric, Fat Boy. He asked, do I bump below Hoover? And I don't. I've never been down there. I don't think you could put a boat in down there, but so that's a no. And my biggest flathead is 55 pounds.
It's a good. That's my biggest flathead. That's a monster flathead.
Yeah, we get some good ones in the Ohio. Just depends on what areas you're in. The Ohio's tough to fish, man. It's a beast. We get lucky and get on some fish, just about every time we go, but we put a lot of time in the water, and we're still learning stuff. We were putting things together yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah. Zach and I were out yesterday, and we were still learning things and trying new things, because that's just what it takes to evolve and, to try to learn and better yourself.
See. Yeah, well, so I guess we've already kind of been answering questions. If there's anything else that you want to talk about that day, or anything you could think of, if not, we can just concentrate on whatever you want to, or questions people send in. Okay. I do see a bunch of folks asking questions. I'm sorry if we don't get to them all. Just on my screen, it was zipping by pretty quick for a minute there.
I've seen somebody ask about reaction tackle. It looks like Zach answered that. That's all Zach uses. And I haven't. I'm not a braid guy myself. I only run braid on the bumping rod. That's it. Mono for me on everything else. My go-to is Andy Monster mono 40-pound test. As basically everything else I've got spooled up is that, except for my ambassadors. All my 6500s, just for line capacity, I spool them up with 30-pound Andy Monster or slime line, depending on whichever I've got hanging out here at the house. I like them both.
I'm actually trying out some new lines now because, like you said, and this is the saltwater side of me, Andy's mono, man, it's a lot thinner a lot of times, and it's, in my opinion, it's pretty indestructible. But here lately on some of my newer stuff, I'm trying the Whisker Seeker, and so far I'm pretty happy with it from what I can see. I haven't used it too long yet. It feels like wire, though. I'll tell you that much.
What pound test are you using?
50.
50. I had 30, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It's probably the smoothest line I had seen as far as laying on the reel. Nice, just texture, castability. It was great. Strength and durability. It was poor. At least 30-pound. I did not care for it. It seemed to not even come close to the breaking point as advertised, and it just wasn't for me. But
Let's see. Boop. We got a question here.
Should I use a float when bumping the Mississippi? No. We had to learn the hard way. We was using floats and demon dragons and everything else. You know, we're trying to keep our bait. All that did was give the Mississippi River more mass to grab. And
here's a good one. This is from my buddy Joe. This is the one of the 3 of the Real Beast team right here. So
okay.
Broken Pole Joe asking a question.
When I was really little, you know, my dad would get me out and go fishing. I was probably, I don't know, little guy, 5, 6, 7 years old. And I love fishing so much that he wouldn't tell me the night before that we were going fishing the next morning. Cause I just couldn't sleep. Hell, I'm still that way now. Zach is too. He wouldn't tell me. He would have to wake me up the morning of and take me out to go fishing. But honestly, my dad only took me fishing maybe a handful of times, and that was it until I got to be a teenager. And we lived on Paint Creek here in Ohio, which is, I think it's the largest creek in Ohio. And I started catfishing on my own then. And I was, you know, I did the same chicken liver and Zebco 33s and all that stuff. And it wasn't until I started using creek chubs, I caught my first flathead. And, you know, it was only like 13 pounds. I mean, it wasn't a monster. But the look on my face in that photo, you could tell I was pretty happy. And that fish right there pretty much hooked me into wanting to catch bigger fish. And my dad didn't fish a whole lot, but he had a buddy that did fish that same creek. And he would stop by the house, you know, after fishing with 40, 50, and 60-pound flatheads. And I'm like, that came out of the same water I'm fishing? Oh, I got to figure this out. And, you know, just kind of lit the passion. And from there, I've just kind of learned and evolved the same way everybody else does. You know, a lot of YouTube I give credit to. Large question is always debate on large trophy-sized flatheads. What catch more, cut bait or live bait? We're talking about big boy flatheads. Well, I was one of the guys that used to think that only live bait was the ticket. But I can tell you that all of the big fish, including my 55 that I've caught, have came on cut bait. It was fresh cut bait. Like I keep it alive in my bait tank until I'm ready to use it. I mean, it still has a heartbeat and twitching when I throw it out. And you know, like I said, you know, I don't know if that's why it's still so good because it's imitating a live bait because it still has an electrical field to it. Still has nerves and stuff twitching inside, which, you know, I've heard Epic say in the past that, you know, that electrical field can be detected by these fish to tell whether it's alive or not alive. And so I've caught most of my big flatheads have been on cut bait. However, it was extremely fresh cut bait. I wouldn't throw anything out that I kept from the night before or anything like that. And I've caught them on live shad and live bluegills and things like that too. But all my big ones have come on cut bait.
Yeah, I would say it's probably a regional thing. I know my river here, if you put anything on that's not alive, they won't touch it unless you can make it mimic 100% being live. That's like my dropper setup, that 3-way. If you can put a dead shad or a dead bluegill up and the current keep it moving, they'll hit it here. But every time I've used cut bait, it's either been stripes or it's been blue cads.
Yeah, I don't. As far as region goes, catfish are catfish. A flathead's a flathead in, you know, in the Missouri as it is on the Ohio, as it is in the James and the Tennessee and all that. So I think that, you know, a lot of it has to do with your confidence in. If you don't have any confidence in cut bait, you're going to throw all live bait, or vice versa. If you don't have any confidence in live bait, you throw cut bait. And that ends up being what works for you because that's what you're confident in. And that's what you get. That's what you stick with and go to. You know, we all have those spots when we anchor up. You might have that 1 or 2 spots that are like, yeah, I think he's right there. Right. Or you throw that one towards the bank and you're like, dude, that's the one right there. I feel it. right? So you throw your most premium bait, your favorite hook or rod and reel, whatever the case may be, you throw the best thing you got at that spot because you're convinced that that's where he's at. Maybe you saw him on side scan or something. You know he's there, but you're going to throw whatever you're most confident in that spot that you have the most confidence in catching that fish. And that's why it becomes effective, is because that's what you're throwing. If you pull it up there and just start throwing out garbage that you had no faith in, then do no good. Raccoon Creek is the longest creek in Ohio. Thanks, Fat Boy. I wasn't 100% sure. I know Paint Creek's long, but I know Raccoon Creek. I've seen it all over the Ohio. So Bobcat says he doesn't use a float.
True. I haven't seen him use a float yet on one of his. That's one of the things I was thinking about earlier when talking about you're bumping fish, and him is underneath the dam most of the time. At least I hadn't until now. I haven't seen him use a float. You said you were using a float on yours.
I do. And besides the Mississippi, where it's going to run away from you. You know what I mean? It's pulling. There's so much current. It's just pulling. We was using 10 ounces, trying to bump with 10 ounces. All right. That's, we were slowing the boat down and trying to get 10 ounces. And we'd almost be out of line before the 10 ounces would hit the bottom. Mm-hmm. We're like, we need to get these floats off here because this is causing more drag. We need to, we figured out that we just got to go faster. We got to get the boat going faster. But when it comes to everything else, bumping below Nickajack, tennis, any of those other ones, Chattanooga, I like to use a float. I like that. I like the rattle. I like the flash. I like something to get their attention, whether you believe in them or don't believe in them. I think they at least get a fish's attention, and then your bait does the rest. It gets their attention, and then they said, hey, that looks good. I like bait to fish with. Chicken is bait. And sometimes chicken is bait. I wouldn't use it for bumping, but there's plenty of times that we use chicken a lot throughout the year. It just depends. Now for us, it doesn't seem to work very well cold season. Once the water temperature gets like below 50, for us, it just doesn't seem to work as good. I don't know if it's because at a certain temperature, it's not giving off the, I'm not sure even what on the call is in chicken, the biology of it, but I don't know if it's not being released at below a certain, because, we all know that in, 40-degree water, you don't have to change your bait out very often.
No.
It's like putting it in the refrigerator. It's, it stays pretty good for a while. And I think the same thing happens to chicken. I think that whatever the ammonia acids and whatever else is inside the chicken that gets released when it's warmer might be what's attracting the fish. And that's just theory. I don't know. Don't we'll take what I say to the bank. But once it gets below a certain degrees, it's no longer releasing that stuff out. And so for us, we don't use chicken much in colder temperatures, but once it warms up, man, we take chicken to the river. I drag chicken up on Hoover all the time and do well with it. There's plenty of trips. The chicken outperformed everything I got. And it works. Whether you like to admit it or not, it does work.
I used it for the first time this year in my local river, and surprise, surprise, it actually kicked butt for about 2 days. It outdid brim and bluegill, believe it or not.
Yep. If somebody told me that Twizzlers would catch just as many or biggest fish as I want, I'd have Twizzlers on everything.
I used a Slim Jim once.
If it works, I'm not a what they call it, a bait snob. I won't turn my nose up. There's certain things I just don't believe it will work, but if somebody can prove it works, I'll try it. We got Mark at Catfish and Crappie tuned in. Brad, officially hello. Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate everybody being in here.
Mike Greenwell, there's the bumping guy, the bumping man himself. I can't wait to go bumping with Mike. I have an 80-pound thrust trolling motor on the pontoon. Do I need a drift sock also to bump below the dam? No, you do not want a drift sock. It'll put a lot of strain on your trolling motor. So What's up? I caught good fish on chicken with 37-degree water. Yeah, see, I could be completely wrong on that whole chicken concept with the acids and warmer water releasing things into the water. Good fish on 37-degree water. Brian catches fish. There ain't no doubt about it.
A hungry fish is a hungry fish. At some point, they got to eat. They don't care the temperature when they're hungry.
Oh, the fish we've been dealing with here the last couple of weeks on the Ohio, they are finicky. Man, oh, man. We caught 13 fish, I think, yesterday, and we probably missed 30. I mean, they just would not take the bait. There was only like a couple fish that took the rod down. Everything else, you had to get up and really crank down on them right away, or they were gone. It was a testy day, but water temp yesterday was 35.5. We got 13 fish. The biggest fish was 31 pounds, and we got a bunch of teeners.
They were hungry, dude.
They didn't hit hungry. I'm telling you, they did not hit hungry. They were picky. Will trolling motor be enough to hold a pontoon under the dam? It all depends on flow. There's a lot of variables. Depends on your trolling motor. 24 volt, 12 volt, an 80-pound thrust is usually a 24 volt trolling motor. You don't really want to sit still below a dam. You would want to you'd want to move down with the current to bump efficiently.
Hey, first time fishing, I see you up there.
And I wouldn't recommend bumping below a dam to learn how to bump anyway. I would recommend learning somewhere that's got some good current, but has a sandy or mud flat, a good little ways till you get the technique down and figure out, how to feel that thump, get your timing and stuff figured out, and then get up to the dam. Cause it could be kind of nerve wracking and frustrating. Your water's going fast. You're moving fast. Your bait's going fast. It could be a little crazy.
So I got a question for you. So
okay.
Are you planning to come back down to the Tennessee and try your hand at it again?
Yeah, I'd go right now if I could. I ain't joking. I'm thinking about.
Don't tempt me. I'll use it. I ain't scared. I've used all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. If I had my way, I would start like up there on the Potomac and fish with those guys, and then down to the James and hang out with those guys, and then, hook up with Tom and fish the dock. And then I would just go all the way down the chain and fish with everybody I could that would give me a couch to sleep on. I would just go all the way down through there and just have a blast.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. Depending, pick a spot at least, once or twice a year, try a different one of these different rivers. You know what I mean? That way you don't have to do them all at once. Just kind of pick, well, this year I'm going to hit the James. Well, this year I'm going to hit Chattahoochee River.
Well, I was blessed last year that, like I said, Zach had all that time off, and he would call me up and said, "Hey, you want to go to the James?" Yeah. What day you want to go? He said, "Be ready in 2 days." I'm like, "I'm ready. Let's go." So last year we went to the James, the Mississippi, and the Tennessee River in the same year.
Wow, man, that must be great.
Oh, it was fantastic. Like I said, I was very blessed and lucky that Zach likes me enough to let me tag along, and I try to earn my keep on the boat. I keep the better cheddars coming, and I make the loading and unloading the boat as painless as possible. I think I'm a pretty good Joey.
See, so we got about 10 more minutes left in here before we get out.
Okay.
Catfish Weekly is is coming up next, and don't want to hold anybody over. If there's any more questions or anybody want to get in real quick for the next 10 minutes, we want to try to bang a few out, or you talk about whatever you want to. I did want to say that was great when I seen all those fish that you caught. You were talking about that your last little trip. I was, wow, man, he's killing some fish in this cold water right now.
Yeah, we've been doing okay last couple trips out. It ain't always that way, but Zach and I talked about this yesterday. For us, it's the crazier the conditions, the nastier the weather, the harder we have to work to catch a fish, the more rewarding every fish becomes. You get out there and nothing wrong with going out on a warm day and catching some fish. But when you have to work as hard as we did, like yesterday, we got to one ramp and there were some guys salting and shoveling and trying like heck to get their boat in. They were duck hunters. They saw us come in with a big old sea arc and they was like, yes, somebody break the ice. We started backing the boat in, and these guys had waders on. They were up to their armpits trying to break ice so we can get the boat in deep enough not to tear anything up. But even once we started getting the boat in, the ice was 1.5 inches thick, and we're like, we're not going to try to plow our way clear through this to get out. So we ended up having to put it back on the trailer and go to another boat ramp, and we're finally able to get in the water. But yeah, the crazier the conditions, the more self gratification we get out of catching fish.
Let me before you answer this one real quick. Bob just brought up something. I can't show it right now, but that's the back end right there of our new logo that represents Real Beast a little better. When we first got started, it was supposed to be more shark fishing and catfish, based, and it turned into, just like everything else, it's more catfish, and that's how I've always been, and just a little bit of shark fishing, catfish with teeth. So we decided to have a different logo. We're still going to use the old one, but this catfish here is going to be the new Real Beast logo going forward. So
now I got to get another one.
Yeah, when we get some made, I'll be sending them out.
See, right there.
Oh yeah, I'll let you put the new one on your boat.
There we go. Let's see, all the places you fish, what is your favorite river or lake? River and lake. My favorite lake. Man, I don't know. Sandusky Bay is hard to beat. That is a guaranteed good time. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Go up there and just murder channel cats. But Wilson Lake is hard to beat too. I mean, it's got everything on it. But my favorite river, I mean, it's so big and has so many opportunities. The Tennessee River is by far my favorite. I like the Mississippi River, but it was a little much for what I was ready for. I guess I could come to love it because there are some, no doubt, giant fish in the Mississippi River. But so far, the Tennessee River is more my pace. I would love to love the James River, but it keeps kicking my butt. So let's see. What is my go-to rig? Usually it's a three-way rig now. I used to use a sinker slide and do like a Santee style. And I still do a Santee style, but I don't allow my weight to be moved. I fix the weight to the line, or the Kentucky rig. I've really started to enjoy the Kentucky rig more and more. But yeah, Zach is 100% the Kentucky rig. He uses it like 90%, 80% maybe. Asking about rigs on Hoover. My favorite rig on Hoover is a three-way rig. Here we go. I run a 7-foot long leader on Hoover with a hook about every 18 inches. And we only allow 2 poles here, but we allow 3 hooks. So I run 3 hooks per line. I run about 6 or 7 foot long leader with a hook every 18 inches. I want that thing out there.
Let's see. Bring that up. The purple reel. So it can be, it's a Avid, and it can be for long distance casting. I'm actually going to use it for my kayak, but I want to say 40-pound mono. It got close to about 175, 180 yards of 40-pound mono. It's smaller than what it looks. Avid reels are actually made more for like braid, which is why that one right there is perfect for what I'm going to be doing out of the kayak.
Thoughts on live scope for catfishing? I think I don't see it being a beneficial yet on catfishing. for bait to catch bait, I think it'd be fantastic. I think it would pay for itself there in bait. But we don't do too bad getting the bait on our traditional electronics. But I crappie fish, and so I would love to have a live scope when it comes to catching crappie.
As a matter of fact, Justin Kayak Catfish, I believe in one of his videos, he was saying that he thought it was going to be better for him, but he's having trouble getting it dialed in while he's drifting over like this deeper water on his kayak. It's not helping him like he thought it would. At least it wasn't by that video's point. He might get it dialed in, but he was kind of underwhelmed with it.
Yeah. So I seen a couple more questions. I'll try and knock them out quick. My dream fishing trip would probably be either a whales or a red-tail catfish. They're just giant catfish, and just to land one and say you did it, to me, it would be fantastic. Brad, when's your next free weekend to go out fishing? I'm free every weekend. I'm free. Right now, I'm free every day. You hit me up anytime you want. Ketchup or mustard on the better cheddars. For me, just ketchup, no mustard. And Raj, if you got to go fish with your favorite YouTuber, where would you and Lauren fish and why? We would fish anywhere Lauren wants to fish, because no matter where we go, it's going to be fun. we could go to the park and fish in the pond there, and Lauren would make it fun. So wherever Lauren wants to go would be where we go. There we go. Brad and them's got live scope on there, so they would. Live scope is good for a lot and 50 foot or less. Well, that's pretty much most of the Ohio River for me. So I get out with Brad and see what the live scope's all about. I might change my mind.
Right. Well, guys, we're nearing the end here. We're going to go ahead this way. Everybody's got a few minutes before Catfish Weekly starts up. Appreciate everybody being here, checking this out. I appreciate Roger being here, man. It's great to have you on here and me interview you for once.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Tomorrow night we got Terry Rogers from the he's a professional guide that fishes the confluence of the Ohio and the Mississippi River, and he's been doing it for a long time. I expect it to be a really good show, so be sure to check us out tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Awesome. I see, Chunky, you snuck in here real quick, or
he's probably been lurking. He's usually busy.
I seen them 2 fancy poles you did with the cross wraps, man. It's pretty fancy.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you, everybody, and I will see y'all back again next Monday. Peace.
Good night, everybody.